Let's just say until midday.
It's up to midnight.
Yeah.
You keep it there. Our next guest is a doctor, Dr. Angela Migoa. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know of Friday the 13th, right?
Yes, with all the mystery that surrounds it.
What do you know about it? I mean, what's his story?
That there's a lot of doom and gloom, you know. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong on Friday the 13th.
Really?
That's what they say, but I don't know.
You never experienced that?
No.
How long does it last? Is it up to midday or is it the full day?
Well, I think that's a philosophical question, right? It depends on when your day starts and when your day ends.
Chunga. Daktari is an adolescent health specialist and a consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital. She's here so that we have a conversation about adolescent health and suicide prevention. And it's good to have you here, Doc. Karibu sana.
Thank you. It's such an honor, and please allow me to celebrate you and your team for bringing to the forefront this very important yet sensitive topic.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Asante sana. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And because you've been so good, in fact, even coming and even appreciating us, let's appreciate. It's Christmas season.
Daktari, it's Christmas season, right?
Yes.
And Christmas here comes early. Now let's talk about your fruits. How do you like your fruits?
My fruits? What can I say? Nice and well sliced, I guess.
Nice and well sliced,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, I'm going to give you another alternative. Now, we have a partner called Del Monte.
Okay.
Del Monte has taken their time to make sure that the fruit that you like sliced can also be packaged such that you don't have to always eat it. You can drink it.
Wonderful.
And they do this by making sure that they take their time, go to the best vineyards that there are, select that fruit that has naturally ripened so that they package it for you. Making sure that you as a doctor, your nutrition is top-notch, right? And while we talk about it, they ensure that these fruits that they are packaging for you, that you get to drink your fruit, is 100% sugar-free. There are no additives, no preservatives. I know in your field what that means, right?
Yes.
But they are making sure that everything is ready, is good for you to just pick it up and enjoy it. Now, it does not have any colors or flavors. Everything is natural. Now, Daktari, if we just ask, which is your favorite drink or fruit that you like?
I think for me, I'll go with mango.
You go with mango.
Yes.
Now, Del Monte has a lot of varieties there. You can actually even enjoy your best vegetable. I personally love to cook.
Yes.
But now I can even drink my tomato. Mango is one of the products that they have. But today, let me just give you a different one.
All right.
Let me see what I haven't.
Okay. All right.
No. Dennis, keep the doctor away. Give her apple.
Give her apple. So, Daktari, what I'll do, I will give you peach today, and as well make sure that by the time you're leaving, you keep the doctor away by giving an apple. Right? So, at the moment, you enjoy this peach.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
And you say that Del Monte is that product that makes sure that real begets real. Real fruit begets real doctors who make sure that each and everything that they do, we are good for the days to come. Del Monte is that product that will sort out your nutrition, and test buds will be touched the only way they know how to do it.
Thank you so much, and looking forward.
Enjoy. And next time you go shopping, you know what to do.
I know what to do.
Very
I know
good.
what to pick.
Now, let me welcome you to today's proverb.
Yes.
So the guy who normally sits where you're sitting now is called Siti Muga. Today he's away.
Okay.
I don't know what he's doing, but we've just decided, Dennis and I, that he's playing golf.
Okay.
So let's go with that story.
All right.
That Siti is playing golf today.
Okay.
And he'd have given you a proverb from Lesotho, the kingdom of Lesotho. You've heard about it?
Yes.
It's a kingdom.
Yes.
Now, today's proverb, what the people think cannot be denied. What the people think cannot be denied. What's your interpretation of that proverb? What do you think they're saying?
I think the interpretation of that proverb is that perception is reality. Because if people have a certain perspective on a matter or an issue, that is the reality for them. And so, whether it's right or wrong, that becomes another philosophical discussion. And how you address it will depend on how willing you are to accept their reality, even if it's not your reality, but it's their reality, and therefore respect them for it and address the matters within their context. That's how I'd interpret it. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why City chose that particular proverb today, but looking at today's headline, which is, as you can see, read it.
Lies versus facts, Reuters' fresh war on critics.
Yeah. Perception is reality. Enough said. So, Daktari.
Yes.
Who is a rheumatologist?
So, the way our bodies have been created, all our organs are held in place by what we call the connective tissue. That is why your heart is just not floating around, your liver is not just floating around, because there's connective tissue holding everything in place. So rheumatology is the field of medicine that studies the diseases that attack the connective tissue that holds everything in place. One of the commonest conditions that we treat is arthritis. So often people, when they hear rheumatology, they think of arthritis. Yes, because one of the key functions of our bones is to hold things in place. Yeah, another key function, of course, is locomotion, movement. And so arthritis is one of the commonest conditions that we treat. So a rheumatologist treats diseases that affect the connective tissue. Another unique attribute about our diseases is we've all been blessed with a natural defense system, which we call the immune system. And ideally, it should just be fighting the germs that cause disease. But sometimes, for many reasons, it gets confused and it begins to attack the body itself. All right? So it's like an auto attack. Yeah, your immune is attacking your own body, so autoimmune. So again, another very large spectrum of the diseases we treat are called autoimmune diseases. So that's what we as rheumatologists treat and take care of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But currently at the Aga Khan University Hospital, in addition to being a consultant pediatric rheumatologist, you're also an adolescent health specialist.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Actually, I was drawn into that field because as I started my practice, I came across a lot of young teenagers complaining of aches and pains in their joints.
Joints.
Yes,
Teenagers.
Right. So, and everyone thought that they had arthritis, but when I would do my assessment, there was no evidence of arthritis, but these children were in debilitating pain. And then when I delved in further, then I realized there were a lot of psychosocial stresses that they were experiencing, which was presenting as pain. And the example I give adults is like, we've all lived quite a while now. We've possibly experienced the loss of a loved one, a friend or a family. Even psychiatrists say that's one of the worst pains you can experience, the loss of a loved one. But when I do your blood level, it'll probably be very normal. If I check how well your kidney and liver are functioning, it'll be normal. But you're experiencing terrible pain. So then I started wondering, so what's going on with these adolescents? And that's when I delved into adolescent health. So adolescent health is about promoting the whole well-being of the adolescent or the teenager, which according to the World Health Organization is total physical, spiritual, mental and emotional well-being.
This is interesting. Kids would present with what they call pain. And it's debilitating pain, like you're saying.
Yes.
But then you realize that it's stress that is just affecting them.
Correct.
What are the causes of this stress?
There are multiple factors, and I would look at them from a point like a 3-tier level, at a personal level, community level, and then I would say global level, if I can put it that way. So at a personal level, sometimes you find the children with certain personality traits that predispose them to be more worried or to be more anxious, right? Or they have certain illnesses. Children also have mental health conditions which are not well recognized, okay? And because they're not well recognized, they feel they're not well understood, then they feel frustrated. Another aspect is they could have developmental challenges, right? So their speech is not well developed, they are not able to express themselves, then they're frustrated. Now there's more awareness about conditions like autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorders, you know. So those are some of the things at the personal level of the child that could predispose them, yeah, to have aches and pains that have nothing to do with any joint disease. Then at the community level, I think this is where now I would say the family comes in, and the like immediate surroundings. And you know, children are very observant, right? When the mom and dad are fighting, they see, all right? When there's exchange of unpleasant words, they hear. And sometimes they blame themselves for that. I take care of children with arthritis, and it's a stressful situation, and people deal with it differently. So sometimes the parents are having conflict in just how to manage the child, and the children see, and so then they blame themselves for the conflict.
They feel I'm the burden.
Exactly. And then of course there is what's happening in the society, and I take the example of COVID. You know, COVID, it disrupted everything, isn't it? And there was a lot of stress and strain. People who were not used to living in the same household all of a sudden were locked down, right? And that affected the children. In fact, we know, for example, that children born around the COVID time have had problems in development of speech because they were not able to interact with other children, with their peers, to be able to develop language. And then, of course, then there's what's happening, you'd say, globally or nationally. And, you know, they hear what's happening in the news, right? And in the TV, right? And I remember I had a child who was very fearful, didn't want the father to travel because they had seen recently in the news that a particular a child lost their parent after a car hijack, and the father died, right? So all those build up to add stress and strain on the child. Let's not forget cyberbullying. That is now something that's really key in the schools. Sometimes you have excess punishment that's a source of strain, right? Bullying in the school. So all those have an effect on how the child would present and how they deal with those various stresses at the different levels.
And Doc,
Yes.
stats indicate that mental cases, especially around the young people, is increasing by the numbers.
Yes.
And someone would beg to ask,
Yeah.
what are some of the factors that are leading to these increased numbers?
Yeah. So, you know, actually the figures can be horrifying because it's stated that about 44% of teenagers are battling with mental health problems.
44%.
44%, meaning 4 out of every 10 are battling with some form of mental health problem or challenge. So what are the risk factors for this? One is, you know, the child or the teenager could be having a mental health disorder that has not been identified, you know. They also get depressed. They also have anxiety. They also could be bipolar. They could be schizophrenic. You know, schizophrenia is where you have a split from, actually it's linked to your quote. You know, schizophrenia, I could say that I'm the Queen of Sheba, you know, and I believe I'm the Queen of Sheba, right? But the reality is, that doesn't exist. So in schizophrenia, there's a split in what you believe and actually...
what you think cannot be denied. Yeah.
Yes, you know. So they could have a schizophrenia. Another thing that we cannot rule out is infections, right? because infections can also drive them to have bizarre behaviors and drive them to even mental disorders like HIV infection, for example. We know that it can drive them to have mental health problems. Again, the issue of chronic pain. Yeah. So children who are subjected to chronic pain, for example, in conditions like arthritis, again, that puts them at risk. Let's not forget what I said earlier, when there is conflict within their immediate surrounding, again, that's a risk factor. Substance and drug abuse. That's another big elephant in the room. Because, and it's a vicious cycle, because you are in pain for whatever reason, yeah? Maybe there's bullying, there's conflict in the home, you're frustrated with your performance, or you've broken up with your girlfriend, relationship issues. So you're in pain and you want to numb your pain. And so you look for something to give you a high and make you forget. And you take these substances, cocaine, marijuana, alcohol. It gives you that temporary relief. But then when the effects wean off, you feel more empty. And then now you desire and crave for more. So it becomes a very vicious cycle. So we can't rule out the impact and the effect of substance abuse. Yeah.
I'm listening to this, what you're saying.
Yes.
And I'm looking back at my teenage years. And I ask myself, I don't remember encountering any of my peers who was in debilitating pain because of any of these factors.
Yeah.
Do you? No. As you were growing up, do you? As you were growing up?
No, Eric.
So what's happening? Are we raising weaker children?
Let me speak about the medical profession. Because sometimes it's easy to point fingers at other people and not look at yourselves. And I was having this conversation with my colleagues also, As you know, we've had young doctors who've taken their lives, and may they rest in peace, and my sincere condolences to their families. And someone was saying it could be because of lack of money. And I said, yes, that's a factor, but it's not the only factor, because I recall also, just like you, Eric, when we were doing our internship, it was known our salaries would come like 6 months after we started.
And you've been posted to who go the farthest of the farthest places from home.
Yes. Yeah. And that time, maybe your parents are taking care of other siblings, or they have done their best. Now it's for you to stand on your feet, right? And, when the boom would come.
And as far as they know, you're a daktari. They came for your graduation.
Of course. They came for your graduation.
They're expecting you to send something.
Of course. And, during those 6 months, it was tough. But I remember, like, for me personally, there was a lot of camaraderie amongst my fellow interns. So, someone would travel and visit their parents over the weekend. They come back with some nice maize or some chicken, and then we share.
And go and share for everybody.
And we share. And I also don't recall anyone who took their life during that turbulent time. So we have to ask ourselves some critical questions. One, is it that we are not equipping them with resilient skills to navigate challenges, because we cannot escape from challenges? And then, in pediatrics, we say children do what they see, not what they are told. So we're here basically saying, the young doctors, how are they not coping? But have we modeled for them? And I said, I'm picking intentionally my fraternity. So have we modeled for them strategies to navigate challenges, right? And then thirdly, I don't have the answers, Eric. I'm just putting out some questions there for reflection. Thirdly is what you just mentioned in passing, the expectations. Here you are, you don't have a salary for 6 months. Somebody is knocking on your door to help them pay school fees for someone, and it's somebody who you hold dear, you would love to help, right?
You're a doctor, you're working, as far as you know.
Oh, yes.
We came for your graduation. You're a doctor, and you have been posted to a hospital. You're working.
Exactly. Yes. You're raking in the millions as far as they are concerned. So the expectations on you are also insurmountable. And then that adds stress, right? And then the other thing is even just the microenvironment where they are working, right? What is the culture of that workplace? Is it enabling? Is it oppressive? You know, we say you cannot give what you don't have. So if all that is within you is oppression, frustration, here is somebody who was not able to afford a meal, and here you are being difficult and harsh with them, and they don't have their salaries, and their resilient skills are not top-notch because nobody modeled it for them. Do you see how it's a recipe for disaster? Right? So we have a lot to do.
So if we take that, we can also just mirror it with the teenagers that we're talking about today, the adolescents that we're talking about today.
Yes.
It's they're not getting the support that they need, the psychosocial support that they're growing up.
That's it.
That can give them the shock absorbers.
That's it. Yes.
And so the pain basically is just hitting.
Yes.
It's the vehicle hitting the ground without shock absorbers and springs.
That's it. That's an excellent analogy. There are no shock absorbers. And you know, the human person is not created to be in isolation.
Yeah.
This is something we forget. Yeah. We exist in a fabric of humanity, right? So my well-being is significant for your well-being, Eric. Yeah. For the team here that's responsible for making sure that this room is clean, for the security guard downstairs. And when we are cognizant of that, then there's no small act that is useless. There's no kind word that goes in vain because you don't know what you would have done for that individual. And you know, the cyberspace is great. You can have a lot of impact like what you people are now doing, but you have to guard against it so that it doesn't isolate you from your community and your society. Yeah, because then when you're isolated, you don't have the shock absorbers you're talking about, Eric, you know, and the springs to help absorb the challenges you face. And then the only way out to end your pain is to say, you know what, this life isn't worth it.
I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Sad. It's 9:30. Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly. You know, we're talking about adolescent health and suicide prevention and what needs to happen, what kind of linkages and partnerships we need to think about. Dr. Angela Migoa is an adolescent health specialist and consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital. Dennis,
yes,
please tell her about flying better, the Emirates business, right?
Angela,
yes.
Yes.
Eric, you're now putting undue pressure now on me. You're mounting the pressure.
I'm helping you.
You're helping me.
Now, Dr. you
Yes,
know, you
Dennis.
can travel to over 140 destinations to anywhere in the world using the Emirates. And the experience at the Emirates does not just start while you're flying. It starts before you get to that flight. And this is because Emirates has made sure that you are able to get chauffeur services. Someone will pick you up from your door and take you to the airport before you get into that flight. But this flight that you're talking about is your flying Emirates business. Now, at Emirates business, you have an opportunity to have your own space where you're not sharing it with anyone. There is no fight for, this is my armrest. It is your own space. It is your little world in that flight. And while at it, if you feel tired, you want to rest, it's not a question of, do I have a leg room? No, you're not fighting with anyone.
No.
You can, in fact, lie flat. Yeah, you lie flat. And with that, if you want to sleep, they have pajamas that you can take with you at home. They give you duvet, but duvet you live for them, right? But let's take it even a notch higher. You want to enjoy your meal. What are you served? The best there is, Eric, it's called a la carte.
A la carte cuisine.
Yes, cuisine. You get to choose whichever it is you want. The drinks that you're served are top notch. You know, if you want Del Monte mango, they will give it to you because that is what they have.
That's what they
and
have.
Even when you are up there and you want to talk to your clients, you know, you have this child who's going through a lot and you are responding to them via mail. Wi-Fi. Huwezi maliza daktari. Wi-Fi in abundance.
I can have a teleconsult in the air.
Whichever way you want it, you know. And let's take it even further. You're tired, you want to rest, you want to watch movies. The database that they have of the amount of movies that you can watch, daktari, to Timbuktu and back, and still more movies that you can enjoy up there. This is all curated for you to enjoy, you know. And when you get down, you've landed. There is no jet lag because you've rested
Of course.
your entire journey. And when you land, there's another chauffeur to pick you up and take you to the next destination. Eric, daktari,
Maisha London.
Maisha London. Only Emirates does
Only
it the
Emirates.
best way.
Fly better with Emirates. 27 minutes to 10. Let's take this quick break. Take a look at the weather and traffic. Tell us about the shovels and trowels and how much they've dug up the road. Hey, have you seen that, Doc?
I saw it.
Mombasa Road is...
Bumper to bumper.
Wayakiwe is a hole. Yani, these guys, God only knows them. Sawa tu.
This is The Situation.
Hii Krisi, sambaza furaha na Safaricom Business. Zidisha biashara yako na 25% off kwa business internet plans. Reliable internet ni key kwa biashara yako. Ukiwa na 5G speed na huduma za Safaricom Business, una hustle smarter, unawafikia wateja faster na kufanikisha mafanikio zaidi kazini. Dial *485# or visit www.business.safaricom.co.ke to subscribe. Safaricom Business. Powering progress. Make sure your biashara shines this festive season.
Today we have things to do and you need to get ready.
This is a climbing wall, a bomber bucket, triangle traverse, wild swing, spider web. You hear people talking about the Mombasa in Kiambu. This is the place where you are now.
The naturality about it, it's so beautiful.
To tell you I won't file charges anymore, but only if you transfer Gio to another school.
Gio has been dismissed as team captain.
Sir, Gio's burning his personal things on the veranda.
Gio needs professional help.
I'll schedule an appointment tomorrow with a psychiatrist. You don't have a choice.
You know the boarding school in Virginia we've been eyeing for you? You got in.
Why do I have to transfer schools? You're always making decisions for me as if I can't think for myself. Just do as I say, because that's what's best for you.
You're transferring Gio to another school next year? Didn't I tell you we were still going to try to fix things with Grace?
I love Gio. I don't want him to get hurt, so stop hiding him. There's no other place he'd go to but here.
Everything's okay now, son. Enzo's been arrested and I've deleted the video. You have nothing to worry about.
Gio, give me that. Don't test my patience, Gio.
Dad, give that back.
Gio, wait, stop it. Cut it out.
Your mom's already causing us enough problems. Dude, pull yourself together. Don't test me, Gio.
Mika, please, hold on. I just want to ask you about what happened. Nothing's going on between me and your coach.
How will you explain those videos on the internet?
It's because my ex-husband doesn't want to give my son back.
What you're saying is impossible.
Son, when it comes to your dad, nothing's impossible.
I don't want you. I don't want to live in that house. I'll never go back to you.
Hello, Jill. Are you sure you don't want me to accompany you?
I'll be fine. Don't worry.
I'll take you home. Let's go.
Show off your best skin with Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Body Lotion. Now with 5-in-1 Complete Care. The deeply nourishing formula prevents your skin from drying with precious cocoa butter and deep moisture for smooth and healthy looking skin. Step out in confidence with our most complete care from the world's #1 skincare brand.
This week on Love Kiboko. On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree.
It's the warmth of a family meal, the love in a hug, the things we give. It's giving, forgiving, and starting anew. It's the magic of Christmas for me and for you.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare Him room, and heaven and nature sing.
Dental tips brought to you by Sensodyne. Avoid smoking and other tobacco products. Smoking is a leading cause of gum disease and oral cancer. It's best to avoid these products altogether.
Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Wow, sikuamini kwamba ni mimi ndiye nilishinda shilingi 605,000 kutoka kwa Daka. Nilipopigiwa simu kwamba you are the lucky winner of 605,000 Kenya shillings kwa kutumia shilingi 121. Hizi pesa nitapeleka kwa miradi yangu ya mjengo iliyokwama nyumbani. La pili, pesa kidogo ndapeleka kwenye biashara zangu, kisha itakayobaki ndalipa karo za shule wanafunzi katika chuo. Cheseni Daka ni ya ukweli na ndaendelea kucheza mchezo wa Daka kwa sababu hii imenitia moyo kwamba ndaweza kushinda zaidi.
Nenda kwenye paybill 440440 account KTN amount cheza na shilingi 20 hadi shilingi 2,000 na ushinde mamilioni. Daka Mita, kuwa bingwa.
Miss out on Inside Sports every Monday to Friday at 1:30 p.m.
Breaking defenses.
Christmas, and there's also something they've done because they know that you like giving. You, Daktari, they have come up with something called Africa's first ever Light the World Giving Machine.
Wow.
So it's like those vending machines that you have at Aga Khan University Hospital.
Yes.
See those ones?
Yes.
Where you buy chocolate, you buy soda, you buy those things. So it's the same kind of vending machine. This time, though, instead of chocolate and all those others,
Yes.
what you're seeing is a meal, a goat,
Wow.
a beehive, chicken, school education support.
Wow.
And if you select any, it
Yes.
tells you how much it will cost. If you select, for example, you select a meal,
Yes.
that means a family is going to get a meal thanks to your
The
financial
donation that
support.
you've given.
Yeah. Or a goat or a beehive. Yeah. So they have partnered with several NGOs that are
Wonderful.
dealing with communities in various ways.
Yeah.
So just walk in there, it's on the second floor.
That's amazing.
It's the second floor of Sarit. Which one is second floor?
We'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So go to Sarit Your City, and also, by the way, download the Sarit Loyalty app. It helps you with very many things. One, navigation in the mall. You can tells you are here. Okay. Second thing is it helps you pay for parking. It helps you transfer family points. It helps you earn and redeem some points, and you can also send digital vouchers to your loved ones. So you don't even have to go
Yeah.
to Sarit.
Yeah.
You can do that.
You can do it from the comfort of wherever you are.
Yes. Yes. So back to your conversation about
Yes.
adolescent health
Yes.
and suicide prevention. And we're saying that, because of the days that we're living in, our youth are actually facing some serious stress. But also they're lacking the support that, a community should give. They're spending a lot of time on their gadgets. They're assuming because they're playing a game with somebody on the other side, they're interacting.
Yes.
That because they're on social media and they're posting content and people are liking and commenting, that they're interacting. But you're saying that what we need is a physical interaction.
Yes.
A lot of physical interaction.
Yes.
Okay, here's my pushback. Adolescents are in school. Every day in a school term, there's physical interaction.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that brings us to the important role that schools play in the well-being of our children, because they spend actually a lot of time there. And there are various strategies that can help, right? Let me give the example of a lady when she's pregnant, yeah? She knows that in 9 months' time, the baby will be coming. So then they start preparing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where are we going to go for the clinics? Where are we going to deliver? In the case of an emergency, who are we calling? They even pack a little bag so that in case of anything, we are good to go.
Good to go.
Isn't it? Right? She goes to the clinic and they do the scans to make sure the baby is okay so that there are no surprises during the delivery. Correct?
Yes.
So the same strategy should be implemented even when it comes to the well-being of our adolescents, the mental health in schools. It will be important to have a policy in place which is in line with the rules and regulations and the constitution of the day. Okay? Then the other important thing is their staff and personnel should be trained. They should be trained so that they can be empowered to identify these children, right? What are the signs and symptoms? If you find someone was really involved in sports, was an A student, and all of a sudden they're sitting in a corner, they don't talk to people, they're not playing in sports, you can't just label the child as being naughty, right?
Truant.
Yeah, truant. No, what exactly has happened? So staff to be trained to identify these children. Now, you just don't train people to identify. You then have to empower them to act. So you develop care pathways, I'll borrow, like, for example, in pneumonia in children, we know very well that if you see a child is breathing fast, all right, you worry about pneumonia. Right? A child is coughing. You see, even you people know, that you worry about pneumonia. So the next thing is, okay, a child has pneumonia, your care pathway, let's go to the closest hospital, isn't it? You won't sit pretty with the child, right? Go to the hospital. When you reach the hospital, they'll also check, okay, what are your oxygen levels? Do you need antibiotics? Do we need to support you with oxygen? So a similar concept, right? When you identify, then what is the pathway, right? The care pathway. And one thing to keep in mind about patients or children or adults who are contemplating suicide, it's an illness, so just like the way you're not angry at someone who has pneumonia, do you get offended when someone has pneumonia? No. If anything, you have empathy.
Yes.
Isn't it? Like, oh my goodness, let's see what we can do to support you. That's the same sentiment we should have for our brothers and sisters who are contemplating suicide. It's an illness. Even those who have got substance abuse, it's an illness. So to help them, empathy is key, right? Empathy is key so that you can walk the journey with them. So those are some strategies that can be in place. Other hardwired things are, of course, to ensure that there's no bullying. Those are the things that tip off people. Ensure that the living conditions for the children are optimum, right? So ensure that the sanitary areas are okay, the bed is okay, Those are a little bit simpler to deal with compared to the other things that I mentioned earlier.
But Doc, as we talk about having a personnel that understands how to go about it and all this, there also comes the responsibility, or rather the difficult part of
this individual who is unwell seeking these services, and it is difficult for them to speak up due to the stigma that is there in the society. Therefore, how do we start by eliminating and dealing with this stigma so that this individual who is unwell can come up and speak and seek the services and assistance, help that they need?
That's a good point. Most of the time, there are many reasons that can lead to stigma, but most of the time it's because people don't even understand the problem well. Let me give you a very personal example. For me, when the pandemic began, we didn't even have the vaccines, right? And I think this is what's so amazing about our profession. Like at the Aga Khan, it didn't matter from the youngest doctor to the oldest doctor, youngest nurse to the oldest nurse. Everybody came faithfully, to work. But then I realized when I'd go to other social circles, people were keeping a distance from me because they knew where I work. They knew we were handling those cases. And they knew we didn't have any vaccines. So people were keeping a safe distance from me. So people didn't understand the disease very well. Of course, things have changed as we moved along. So one key area to mitigate against stigma is education and awareness. Just like I shared with you, it's an illness. So the way to handle them is with empathy. That's one, right? And then the other key thing about the stigma now, also the issue of policy, right? Having policy in place. For example, we've had a very great policy in tackling diseases like TB, right? Where you've got community health workers trained to identify and they can refer. So again, having a similar policy in place could help break the stigma on that. So those are some strategies we could employ. Another important strategy, I'm in science, data. We say data is the fuel of the 21st century. If we can show that you're not the only one, in fact, there are many more like you, right? Then you're like, oh, so it's not just this child who's a naughty child, or it's not just this relative who's been difficult. There's actually a problem. So having registries and collecting data to showcase to the community, to the governments, to the society, look, this is the issue. Let us find strategies to help this group of patients.
So you have all these, let's say, the interventions are in place in school. All right? This is somebody's child. They're going through all these things. It is somebody's child. At what point do you involve the parent? And how do you involve the parent?
We say in the medical fraternity, an attempt at suicide is a medical emergency. It's a medical emergency. Just like the way if somebody was to walk in here and they're in shock, this show would stop and we run and take them to the hospital. It's a medical emergency. So the minute the school authorities have realized this, or the boss at the workplace has realized someone is having suicidal tendencies, it's an emergency. But what are the signs first? What are the signs? Because some people don't even know. So what are the signs? And you can think of it from 3 pillars. I will say talk, feel, act. When someone is considering suicide, they start talking about it. That's normally the first thing. So they'd say like, problems of this life are too many. Maybe it's better just to sleep and never wake up. Those kind of comments. Like these days, I have problems waking up in the morning. I just don't want to wake up. I want to sleep and sleep forever.
I just want to go and never come back.
They talk. Then the next thing, feel. All of a sudden, I feel so hopeless. This world is just a lot of doom and gloom. It's not a secret. Even if you read the history of pandemics, from the smallpox to the plague and what we experienced with the COVID, the economic downturn we're experiencing was bound to happen. All right? And that can then make people just feel this is just the end of the road, right? So they feel hopeless, despair. Then, if they have not gotten help, somebody hasn't picked and try to support them, now they start acting. So you start seeing very bizarre behavior, like driving very fast, on a highway, and you can see, do you want to crash into a car? Or all of a sudden they're drinking 2-3 bottles of whiskey at a go. You're like, what's going on here? Right? Or they're popping pills. You're like, what's going on? So normally that's the trajectory. And normally at the stage of where they're talking and feeling, it's like a cry for help. They don't even know it's a cry for help, but for those who are sensitive, they realize something is not right here. So anyway, back to your question. So the point when you realize a teenager is having those tendencies, the parent should be contacted promptly because it's an emergency. They should be empowered to identify the signs. The next critical step is to just tell them and show them you love them, you care for them, and you're here to help them. A lot of the things we do, like you said it, Eric, you're posting something, 1,000 likes, and I don't know how many emojis. We all have an inherent desire to be appreciated, to be loved and respected. It doesn't matter the age or status. So reassure them with that. The other thing that will be important after that, the environment. Ensure the environment is not enabling for them to carry out any of those dangerous acts. So if you have a bar in the house, please get rid of the alcohol, right? If you have a balcony, ensure it's safe, nobody can topple over, okay? And then have a rescue plan in place. I go back to the example of the lady who's expectant, right? So that in the event this happens, who do I call? Where do I go? What are the emergency things I can do at home or in the school, right? That's what we can do at an individual level when we have these kind of cases. And you can't do it alone. Remember, reach out to the experts, most of the time the psychiatrists and the counselors, to walk this journey with you. Yes.
My question was heading here, that many parents will be in denial, right?
Yeah.
Because you're basically telling me that somebody who is not my co-parent for this child has noticed something that I haven't noticed. And therefore they already feel exposed. That the teacher is calling to tell me, and they tell me, I have noticed that so-and-so has been doing like this, like this, like the other.
Yes.
You're sort of sounding like you're accusing me of having not noticed. And yet this child comes back to my house every day. So the first thing, of course, that the parent will do is deny. It's like, no.
It's not possible.
Yeah, try and fight it. So how is it that this person in school would break it down to the parent so the parent actually sees that we are working together to support this child?
So a strategy that's now very important, and I don't know how the training of teachers is, but we use it a lot in medicine because we also have similar scenarios. I face that a lot. I'm telling someone that your 10-week-old baby has arthritis. They think I'm crazy, and I don't know what I'm doing. So one strategy that works here is motivational interviewing, right? It's a skill where, because you as the teacher or the healthcare worker or the other member of the community, you have identified there's an issue. You cannot fix that issue alone. That guardian is key. So in motivational interviewing, you don't tell the guardian that this is the problem. No, you pose questions that make them reflect and allow them to come to the realization that you're actually right. There's a problem. And that's the best way, because for them to move with you, they need to buy into the matter that actually there is a problem. So one strategy is to employ motivational interviewing. Another strategy I have found that is very powerful, this is from my experience when I treat children with arthritis. At the Aga Khan, we have workshops where we educate the children on how to treat their arthritis, how to manage their medicines, using play, games, and toys. It's called the Therapeutic Patient Education Workshop. Another very important strategy I've seen is when the child involved is brought into that safe space, it has to be a safe space, non-judgmental, and the child is allowed to express themselves in front of the guardian. I find that very powerful, because it's not just me as an expert teacher or doctor saying it, right? The parent is hearing from their child. That often strikes a chord with their heart, and they're like, okay, there's a challenge. We might not know how to sort it. Let's get help. I would propose those two strategies. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Yeah. And there is always the subject of access to healthcare and access to services that continues to be a problem across across this country. And in terms of just making sure that these problems are addressed, I mean, starting from the policy aspect all the way, especially on mental illness, how should we go about it as a republic, not just as professionals or as parents with sick children?
So we can look at it, from the Republic point of view. I think if we're able to come up with a policy, right? A policy in place, just like the way we did when we were battling with HIV, battling with TB, isn't it? Right? We had a policy in place that allowed people to diagnose the problem, to get treatment to the problem, and follow up. They would follow you. Have you taken your TB medicine? We used to call it direct observed therapy strategy, DOTS. Have you taken? It should be the same, follow through. So having a policy in place, right? But, not just our policy, but resources to follow the policy, isn't it? Resources to follow the policy so that healthcare is not just a matter of the buildings and the equipments and the medicines, but the personnel, right? The personnel, so that they can know how to identify and respond appropriately. And then the community, any successful relationship is based on trust. And that's why the traditional healer will probably have more clients than the doctor in the clinic, because he's trusted, isn't it? So, one thing we can borrow from our brothers and sisters in Zimbabwe, there's a great doctor, Dr. Dixon Chibanda, and he had an unfortunate incident where a suicidal patient couldn't reach him in the capital in Zimbabwe for treatment, and the patient unfortunately died. And he came up with something that even now is celebrated globally. It's called the Friendship Bench. And in his Friendship Bench program, he has trained community health workers to be able to identify people with depression, carry out what we call cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're just changing the mindset of the individual based on how they view their issues, right? And like that, he's been able to increase the access of mental health services, by tapping into the community healthcare workers. So I give that example so that, fine, you can have policies, we can have the resources, but for successful relationship to transform health, trust is critical. And so engaging the community so that whatever you offer is applicable and acceptable in their context, right? Not just you talking down on them. And then the other thing that will be important is the advocacy and awareness, so that we break the stigma, just like we have done with TB and HIV right now. So we can also do the same for our brothers and sisters battling with suicide and other mental health problems and other non-communicable diseases.
Dr. Ali, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Come again soon, right? Wish you all the best. Have lovely holidays. If you're working, if you're not working, just enjoy it with your family.
Thank you.
Dr. Angela Migoa is an adolescent health specialist and consultant pediatric rheumatologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital. We've been talking about adolescent health and suicide prevention. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation today and this week. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Monday, Dennis will be here. City will have played his golf. Ndu will be all right. And I'll be here. I'll be away.
Jerusalem.
I'll be in Jerusalem. Naenda kukaribisha Yesu. Naenda Bethlehem. It's 10, a minute after 10. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you so much.